being able to direct people underwater hones your directing skills because you are limited. And like anytime you have creative limitations, it makes you grow. Sometimes it produces better work.
Welcome to Talk Doc to Me, a podcast and community dedicated to candid conversations around documentary storytelling. I'm your host, Leah DeLeon, and today's guest is Jen Sommer. Jen is a documentary director and editor focusing on stories around tech, our environment, and people on an unconventional path to help their community. We discuss her love for the ocean and tech. She shares her experience directing branded docs for Google, and we chat about the future of AI. Let's get right into it. Jen, thank you so much for being here. We're now in my living room. We're in person, San Diego. We're doing the thing.
Very exciting. I'm excited to be here. It's going to be fun.
Yay. Are you ready to talk to me?
I am. Yes.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So tell me about where you grew up.
So I grew up in San Diego, which is where we are now. And I'm here after 10 years away, which is kind of interesting to be back here. But it's really fun because I feel like I get to know San Diego again, like from an adult perspective. So yeah, I grew up around here.
What were your early interests,
It's funny because I look back on it and I feel like film was always like a part of my life, but I didn't realize it myself. It's almost like I pieced together the pieces when I'm looking back on it. But yeah, I feel like I love to I was the friend who like had a camera and loved to like take photos of people. My mom was a photographer for a bit, so I'd always be stealing.
Like a professional photographer?
She was like a family photographer, so she took photos of, like for a job, but she took photos of families that wanted to have like, Christmas portraits, things like that. So I'd always be coming with her to shoots and just like be her little assistant when I was a kid.
I bet you people love that.
It was so fun. And I just like hold her like bounce or something. And I felt like very excited to be a part of it. It's really fun. And I just was always like begging to steal her camera like all the time. And but I was also really interested in science. So I kind of thought I wanted to be a doctor or like maybe go into engineering, and that's actually what I went into for college.
Yeah, what did you study in college and where did you go?
I went to Pitt, University of Pittsburgh, and I studied computer science and business. But basically, like every internship I had, I would make videos for the company. So like I had a robotics internship and I was working on a robot, and then a new update would come out and I'd be like, let's make a video about it, like every time, even though it wasn't my job.
Right. And I bet you everyone was like, sure, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Right? Like how can someone say no to an intern making them a video?
Exactly. And a lot of them like I worked for a lot of small businesses, so they didn't have like any marketing money. Yeah. So I was like, I can do this. It will be their only like marketing materials.
And at that point, did you have your own camera that you were working off of and like?
Yeah, I had like saved up for one, I think in the end of high school. And then I had like a new one that I bought in college. And yeah, I just kept like making videos. And then eventually my senior year of college, I was making so many like videos and content for a company. They were like, we would love to hire you, not for like computer science or business, but for a full-time like creative position. And I didn't take it, but it ended up making me realize like, oh, this could be a career. Like someone could actually pay me for this. I didn't even know that that was something that people could do, honestly. Like I just thought, oh, this is fun and I love like telling stories.
Videos, like making videos in general.
I don't know, this whole like corporate marketing was not something I had been introduced to. I think nowadays too, it's more common, like people hear about influencers, but I knew I didn't want to be on camera. And I knew that like, I knew people made films and I didn't really know like how you made something if you're not on camera and you're not like a filmmaker.
Right.
Which I wanted to be that, but I didn't think.
Why did you say no to the job?
I don't even know why. I'm like, I'm trying to think about it.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Because what did you do? So you got that, it was a full-time job out of college.
And it's funny because I've actually never done a full-time job since, like I've never had like benefits of 401k, like that kind of stuff.
Neither have I.
I've never had that even now, but I think it was I really loved my boss. I actually ended up working for him again in San Francisco. He like got a different job and I worked for him again.
Yeah.
But I think I just was like, wow, I can do this. Let's see what else is out there. Like, I think I wasn't ready to commit to working full time in a company yet because I still was like, it was the first time that filmmaking had been opened up to me as like a possibility as a job. And my mind was a little bit blown. And I think that I felt like, okay, if this is actually a possibility, I need to figure out like what's out there. What are the paths? What can I do? And so my partner and I moved to San Francisco from out of college.
How old were you when that happened? Or out
We
of
graduated.
college? Okay.
Yeah, we just moved to San Francisco. And I was like, I have a little bit of savings and I'm just gonna, not that much, like a couple months runway, and I'll live frugally and just figure it out. Like I'm gonna try to get jobs in this field however I can.
And you chose San Francisco probably because there's a ton of technology companies and
Yeah.
businesses and...
I knew I wanted to tell something about like tech just because I've always been interested in science. Like I still didn't want to get rid of that. And when I was a kid, like all I wanted to read was science fiction books. Like that's it. So I think I was still like, I want to learn about science, but telling those stories.
Yeah. So then you moved to San Francisco.
Felt like a good fit.
Then what happens?
I was freelanced for like a year or maybe 6 months even, and I connected to someone that worked at Google, and that's really how I got my start. He had been freelancing at Google and was telling these impact stories about real people like doing stuff for their communities using Google's free technology.
So cool.
So cool. And I actually, like, the stories I had told, the company that offered me the job was a technology company, but also a B Corp. So I was telling a lot of impact stories about people. A B Corp is like, for people that don't know, it's a for-profit company that sort of acts like a nonprofit. They don't just care about their shareholders. They care about helping, their community. They care about sustainability. So we told a lot of those stories, like helping people's communities, and I loved that. And so when he said that Google was telling those stories, I was like, this is the perfect fit. It's technology, it's people helping others.
Also, it's Google?
It's Google. I had even applied to internships in college and to Google as a computer scientist and not gotten them. So I was like, oh, this is great. Like, this would be a dream job. And honestly, everyone there was just so nice and smart.
And what was that first project that you worked on with Google? As a freelance director? Or how did that go?
No, I was I was an assistant editor for them. Okay. Yeah, and I had actually, like, before that I had done directing and editing and DPing and assistant editing.
A lot of one-man banding, you were saying.
One-man banding,
you did weddings for a little bit.
Yep. Weddings. I'm glad I'm not doing that anymore. Weddings are great. It just wasn't a fit. It was too stressful for me. Yeah, I went from basically one-man banding to doing stuff on a much bigger production at Google. And that was a really great experience. So I sort of like went backwards and was an assistant editor or like was an assistant on set, but then was able to work my way up through that and quickly be able to like direct stuff for them and edit stuff. And I still freelance with them and do like work for them in a variety of roles. So it's great.
And as a freelancer, you get that one opportunity with Google, right? And you're like, wow, this is amazing. But they hire a bunch of different freelancers and they don't necessarily always call back the same people, right? So like, how did
that's true.
What about you do you think you did, or like your approach, or just like, how did you keep getting hired again?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that I got really lucky. Like I got paired with someone, I was an assistant editor for someone that we just worked really well together and it was a good fit. I think that's really true about like whether you're at Google or honestly any company. You want someone that has the same like creative sense as you. Like there's no right way to do anything when you're making art, but like if someone has the same ideas of like what feels right or what feels wrong or interesting or boring, it's so much easier to make things with them. And there's no right or wrong with that, but like having someone with the same creative visions that you have just makes everything flow. So immediately, like I got paired with people that I was like, oh, we have all the same creative sensibilities. So it felt like I would just keep doing work with them. Like it just made sense. Versus I've worked for other companies where within a week, I'm like, it's not even the company necessarily. I think it's just the people. Like there's tons of people in every company. And if you get paired with someone that doesn't have the same like
drive
perspective,
or
like creative perspective, like some people really love dark looking films and some people like light looking films and some people like things really colorful and other people like it to look natural. And there's different like perspectives that people have in life and that is reflected in art. So I think being, just once you find someone that like feels like a good fit, just sticking with that, and like really putting your all into it. I think it just feels right. Like you just keep going in that direction.
Well, I will say, I feel like your vibe and your, like all the work that you do, like I get super excited about.
Thanks.
Because I'm like,
same with you.
It's like the same vibe,
Yeah.
Like it's like very human. It's like you have a love for the outdoors, which totally comes through. I love how like your experience and passion for like science comes through. It's just natural. I was watching Blue Holes and I want to talk about that. So can you describe for people that maybe have not seen it, like what what that Google project was.
Yeah, I feel like that one was like the perfect blend of all of my interests. So you mentioned like me growing up in San Diego. I think my love of the ocean started there. Like I grew up in San Diego and I was just a water bug. Like even now I ocean swim. I was a lifeguard. I did water polo. Like I love snorkeling. So the ocean is like from Moana, the ocean is a friend of mine. Like that, I feel like that's like, the ocean is a friend of mine.
You're a water woman.
I am a water woman, yeah. And so I was working at Google and I heard about this story. So basically, just to preface like the series, the doc series that we were working on, it's about telling stories of people that are not Googlers, like people in the community, in the world that are trying to do something to help the world at their specific community using free Google technology. So they had found out about this one guy, Johnny Glasskull. He was trying to find blue holes that had never been discovered before, which is crazy.
And what is a blue hole?
A blue hole, I don't know if people know Jacques Cousteau or like the Life Aquatic.
Did you watch the documentary on
Yeah.
Nat Geo?
Yes.
I don't think I've seen it yet.
Oh,
Is
it's
it good?
It's so good.
Amazing?
Yeah, it's very amazing.
We'll add to the
Or
list.
like the Life Aquatic of Steve Zissou. That's what I feel like people think of Jacques Cousteau, but
Okay.
basically a blue hole is like a sinkhole but in the ocean. So it's like a really deep hole in the ocean that's usually undisturbed, so it's almost like its own ecosystem. And the reason that it was beneficial for him to find blue holes is that it's sort of like a way for scientists to study something that's been completely protected. So
it's like
there's
almost like a vacuum, like
Yeah.
in the ocean. in a
yeah,
sense.
or like a control, like I don't know if they would use the word, but like a control group for like versus the rest of the ocean that's been disturbed. This is a place that like exists on its own.
How many blue holes are there?
I don't know.
But they're like rare, right?
Yeah,
They're
maybe
rare.
there's like under 15 that have been
Okay.
discovered. Like it's very small.
And this guy that you ended up that's featured in this branded doc
Yeah,
is
finding them.
on a mission to find these blue holes.
He was on a mission. We went with him. He had already, before we went out, discovered like one or two, and we went out and discovered 3 or 4 more. Yeah, we found the story, and then we went to Australia to film it. It was just so much fun to film because we went out and like did it with him. So we didn't know if he was going to find them, what they were going to look like, how deep they would be. Like some of them were deeper than our instruments were able to measure. So we don't even know how deep some of them were. Yeah, it was pretty incredible just to like go out on this adventure and be a part of it and film it.
So tell me about the prep. So you have the story, you know this guy, you probably do some research. Like for you as a director, like what does the research and development side look like for you?
Yeah, so we had a big team. It wasn't just me. I think that's different, like working within a company versus working on your own. We had a team that definitely like helped us understand his background. And I think the 2 biggest things, one of them is like getting to know your subject and know what they're all about, establishing trust. And that just sort of takes time, like having lots of conversations with them, understanding their perspective and like all of that's going to influence it. And just also for this one, there was sort of a research element of like, what should we expect? What kind of animals are we going to see? Like we saw tons of sharks, lots of different wildlife underwater that I wasn't expecting. So we just had like some practical prep. But then there's also like, I think for me, documentary filmmaking is about really like having a specific perspective. I didn't really watch, like I wasn't always gravitating towards documentaries when I was a kid because I felt like a lot of them didn't have a strong narrative that I was used to as far as like stereotypical storytelling. And that's something that I typically gravitate towards. So I think for me, documentary filmmaking is like bringing some of those narrative techniques into documentary, having a very specific perspective that all feeds into the story. And so a lot of the prep was like, once we understood what his perspective was, what the story was, making all of our directing and like filmmaking decisions around feeding into like the specific story that we were going to tell. If that
And
makes
is that
sense.
like a thesis? Like if you had a thesis before going out to shoot?
I think, yeah, we had references of like just like adventure stories, like Indiana Jones or like Avatar, like things where someone is going on an adventure and sort of the sky's the limit. Like there's just a lot of possibilities. And that's something that I definitely wanted to convey. Just like the excitement, the adventure, the possibility for, anything. So I think that's sort of those were the references that we had for this one.
Okay. And so like you have some references. Is there anything, like you mentioned you had like conversations with him as well. Like what does that look like in this scenario? Like, are you just talking to him one-on-one? Your team is talking to him, or like how much did you talk to him before
Yeah.
How did you come up with the game plan? Like, how long was the production?
Production was short. It was maybe like 3 or 4 days out at sea. And we all lived on the boat, obviously, so we all went out there. And then prep was maybe like a couple months, maybe. But yeah, prep was like, I think this one was kind of unique because there's a lot of practicality on filming on a boat. Like we wanted to make sure, I mean, for one, like it's moving all the time. So you want to figure out like, how can you not get seasick, which I got seasick on filming that.
Okay, wait, tell me about that.
Just like the first day, that was the worst. I hadn't got my sea legs yet. I think I underestimated how much it takes to like, I also DP'd it.
Right, what did you shoot it on?
Alexa Mini. And I used a monopod for it because I felt like that would give me the most flexibility to like move around because we wanted it to have movement, but not have too much movement. Like I thought about using an easy rig, and then I did a test on a boat, and you're just like sloshing around. Yeah, and so basically like monopod was sort of, we did that, or a tripod. But a monopod was what we used for a lot of it, and thank goodness we had an AC because...
Wait, so tell me about how you got seasick. How did you get seasick that first day?
Going off on a tangent, I just was filming, and then the moment we stopped, I was like immediately barfing.
Oh my God. And then you're like, I'm ready to go, day 2, let's do it. I feel better now.
I mean, I didn't even eat dinner. I just barfed like the whole night. And then, yeah, that night I slept on the top of the boat, not in my bed. I just like slept on the deck, and it was like really calming. I slept under the stars, but yeah, I felt really sick and like
wow,
more barfing.
Okay, all right, good.
There's a practicality of like filming on a boat because you just get...
No, the monopod thing I think is interesting. Like, what else? What other tips do you have for someone that is filming on a boat?
Oh, I have so many tips. Okay, so for filming out at sea, have an AC, because not only is it hard, what makes you seasick is that you're like focusing your eyes on a specific point, and that's sort of counteractive to what you're supposed to do when you don't want to be seasick. You like look off in the distance, but you're looking down at something. And if you're also focusing, like focus pulling, you're going to be... it's just like, will exacerbate it even more. So have an AC, which is what we did have. That's going to make it better. I mean, you'll get your sea legs, so you'll be okay. It just takes time. I felt much better after the first day.
How was the noise? Like, how'd you guys approach sound?
Oh, that's a good question. We would do interviews before and after each dive. And so we would like kill the main engine. So sound would go down. And usually we'd be docked at that point, so we wouldn't be moving a lot. It would just...
Did you have a sound recordist also?
We had a sound recordist.
So who all was on the boat?
It was me, an AC. We had another DP to help with like additional cinematography, or an additional cinematographer.
And there's beautiful drone also.
Which was filmed by me and also Johnny, our main person. He likes to film drones.
Of course.
And then we had 2 other Googlers that were creatives / directing as well. And then we had a producer on set.
Got it.
So that was the whole team.
So 6 plus Johnny, so 7.
Yep. And then we had the boat crew that was just focused on the boat. And we had a dive master to make sure that we're safe, because that's important.
Yeah.
I think definitely having someone like a dive master is really important for crew safety and film safety, just because they're making one person dedicated to making sure like you're safe, you're okay.
Yeah.
I think also just underwater basics for filming is like, one is like having neutral buoyancy is really helpful. So I did some camera tests underwater by myself without having scuba on. And the main thing about scuba that's really helpful is that not only are you able to breathe underwater for long periods of time, but also you're able to be neutrally buoyant, so you can stay in like a fixed position in the ocean. You're not moving around, you're not thinking about like staying afloat. You can just stay where you are and just be thinking about the camera movements rather than thinking about surviving underwater. So like scuba really is like a big help, even if you're not filming way below the ocean.
And you have to be, I guess, what are the qualifications in order, like what was the permitting, or like do you have to be scuba certified?
I'm scuba certified, yeah. We also had a dive master on set. The cool thing about filming underwater too is you get to talk to someone like above, basically like you can only give direction when you're above the water.
Right.
So we would go up and I'd be like, here's what we're going to do for this take, describe it to Johnny. And then we'd go under and film it. But you can't give additional notes while you're underwater. So it's kind of like an interesting, you really have to be clear and specific with what your ask is and not give too much, because there's only so much they can remember. and then get up. It's kind of like it's a very interesting and unique way of filming, but
Right.
I loved it.
What other tips do you have for like filming on a boat, filming out at sea, like underwater cinematography, like any other tips?
Yeah, I mean, making sure that you know how intense like the waves are going to be at that point. We were really specific about going out when there wasn't going to be like a storm. So that's part of why like I only got sick the first day. Nobody else got sick. I think I'm just prone to seasickness. But then the rest of the day, it was like the rest of the trip, it was very calm.
I thought it was interesting how like you're underwater and like, do you feel like that grew your directing skills?
Yes. No, it did. Like, I feel like it hones it. Like, being able to direct people underwater hones your directing skills because you are limited. And, like, anytime you have creative limitations, it makes you grow. Sometimes it produces better work because you have to be really specific with what your ask is. So you can't say, like, too many notes. And I think that's a good rule of thumb as a director. Like, don't give people too many notes. They're not going to remember it anyway. Like if someone asked me to do 15 things and then gave me directions to go to the grocery store, I'm going to be like, I retained none of that information. So I think being able to like really be specific with what your ask is. And part of that comes from the prep, like really knowing what it is that you want out of this film. What is your perspective? It's so much easier to make decisions on set if you have a clear like vision and you feel really like stable in that at the end of the day. It's just easier to make those decisions. With prep, like it wasn't just like, I think I mentioned like making sure you're safe and like getting to know Johnny. It's not that. Like we had, and even in this specific film, like we knew we were going to go out and film 3 blue holes. We didn't know what would happen. Like we didn't know, would they even be there? Would they be blue holes? How deep would they be? Will we even be able to get out there because it's uncharted waters? But we still had a very specific narrative. Like I came in with it being like, this is act 1, this is act 2, this is act 3, this is our specific perspective. Everything will be shot in this way to highlight that. Like for instance, if we're filming underwater, we want it to be smooth movements to make sure that people are understanding like, I wanted it to be like you get underwater under this blue hole and you're like in a magical world, like you're transported and the music is calm and Johnny is just present because there's something about, like at least from my perspective, when I'm in the water, I feel like safe. I feel like I'm somewhere else. Like it's like almost a spiritual experience for me to be underwater, and to be in blue holes is just like such a special privilege to get to do that. And I wanted to have our filmmaking represent that. Similarly, I wanted the filmmaking of getting out there to be like hectic and intense. So that's why we use the monopod, because I wanted it to be like a little bit more shaky camera movements, to have it be like stressful, show that tension. And there was like genuine tension. And sometimes we're trying to find it. We didn't know where it was. We're trying to beat the tides. So everything we were doing, like all the filmmaking and the prep that we had beforehand, like it was easy to make those decisions when we're on set because we knew what we were doing. Like everything was intentional.
And you had your style and then you had your purpose for why you chose that style.
Yeah.
Which I think is really, it's something that Matt and I are talking about a lot. It's like, okay, you have your shot list, but then you have your approach.
Yeah.
And you understand why, and you understand why for why.
Yes.
You just have to go so meta in a sense.
Yes, why for why. And also like, you know, there's always the room for something to happen unexpected on set. And you want, like that's true of narrative and documentary. You want there to be room for human moments to come out, or like things that are unexpected to, you want there to be like space to be real. That should always be the case. But when you're making those quick decisions, which you're always making a million of them on set, it should be guided through, I know what my purpose is here. I know what like my perspective is, because it's just easier. Like it's sort of like if you're in, I don't know, you're playing a sports game, you know, like you want to win.
Right.
You know, you want your teammates to succeed. Like you know your purpose. And so it's easier to be like, I'm going to go make the goal because, or like I'm going to pass it to my friend and I'll let her make the goal, because you know what your purpose is there.
Yeah.
The same should be true of filmmaking, you know?
Anything else you want to say about blue holes?
Okay. Well, I guess it's not specific to blue holes, but
Okay,
like
yeah,
what
in
we were
general.
talking
Yeah.
about, I am also an editor and I love editing, and that influences my work as a director, especially when I know I'm editing it. Like I'm like, I don't, first off, like practically, I don't want to be editing like random stuff all day that is like has no purpose, because it's just, it takes forever and it's a waste of my time. But also, if you're in the edit room, then like I want to have planned for like, oh, this transition goes into this. It's so much more fun to be an editor.
In documentary especially, being a director and an editor are almost like synonymous in a sense, or like it just really helps. Like if you are directing a documentary and you don't have experience as an editor, it's not going to go well.
Yeah, like you don't know. I'm like editing it in my head as we're directing it. Like I'm thinking this is how it comes together. And then of course you get to the edit room and you're like, oh my gosh, what even is this? I need to completely make it over. Like that's
but the
true.
Transitions, I think that's like huge. Like, cause I think in the beginning, like personally speaking for like the docs that we've made and like the branded films that we've made, like I wasn't necessarily thinking about transitions in a thoughtful manner. And I think that is totally something we think about now. Like, how are you going to enter the scene? How are you going to exit the scene? Like, what are like the true like human moments, trying to anticipate what those might be.
Yeah.
You know, and just having like thinking of transitions ahead of time, I think is a great like prep thought, and like being thoughtful about it, not just like, okay, like what could I cut to? I guess I'll just do an insert, you know?
Yeah. There's so many interesting things you can do with transitions. Like there's this one scene in Pan's Labyrinth. I took this like directing class recently. We were talking about also just like it's good for people to take classes all the time, keep learning. But I took this directing class and we're talking about the scene in Pan's Labyrinth where she looks up and you see a shot where you're like looking from the sky and then you look down and you see her again. Because the editor decided to do that, they probably figured that out when they were filming. I don't know, it just does something to your mind, like changing that perspective. And it almost, it's the first time we're introduced to a sense of like magical realism, which is what is in Pan's Labyrinth a lot. But this is in the beginning of the film. It's the first time that we're like, whoa, we're in some like magical world just through transition. Like, I don't know, transitions can be very powerful. They can really like hint at so much more and like energize your mind in ways that you don't even realize. So,
and for Blue Holes, I think you did such a good job of like that world that you were building. Like it was so peaceful and beautiful and magical underwater. Like how do you approach composition and sound design, like as a director?
That's a good point. I love sound. I'm like obsessed with sound. I have a background, like I played piano growing up, and that was like a big part of my life as a child, was music and playing piano. And I even thought about like being a music major. And I love sound. Yeah, sound was definitely something like we captured sound, but also like when you go into the edit room, sound was done a lot in post, but we knew what we were going to be capturing. Like we knew what kind of sound we were going to do before.
Was it like original composition for this?
Yes, we worked with JR, who's one of my favorite composers to work with. He's so talented. Everything he does, you ask him for something and he just like intuitively knows exactly what you're looking for.
Right? You're like, how about a little bit more like this? And then they get you and you're like, God bless.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think for like the first edit we sent to him, we used like Indiana Jones like score and also some scores from that he had done previously. And then he just like melded them together. For the music we used like, it feels like this grand story. And also he uses such rich, you know, instruments like French horns. And it just felt like this really deep, powerful thing. And that's kind of what the ocean is. Like the ocean is like powerful. I fear it. I love it. Like it's just something to awe at. And then for composition, I always think about eye trace. Like you want to think about where is the eye drawn to in the composition. If you, let's say you're making a horror film, if you don't know where to look for eye trace, like if your eye doesn't know where to look, you're going to be immediately like stressed out or like, where should I look? And you can do that through composition. You can do it through light. And anytime you want to be like, I don't know, romanced or like calmed, I think you know exactly where to look. Because it's just like, if there's a sense of calm of like, oh, I'm in the filmmaker's hands, it's good hands, I know where to look, I'm calmed in this framing. So I definitely try to think about that when it's moments of like awe, sort of simple framing, or just having the light be on the main subject, things like that really just like make you know where to look, I guess. You can do that through movement too. Like if you're turning, you know where to look because you're going to turn
trace.
With the...
That's interesting. I don't think I've like heard of that in that particular way, but it makes sense. Like where does your eye go? Where is the mind going also?
Yeah, like where's the mind going? I don't know. I there's just so much you can do with filmmaking. I love it. But I don't think that people listening to this, it means you have to do exactly what I'm doing. Like I remember feeling so intimidated going into filmmaking, being like, there's so much to know. And I wasn't really someone who was naturally into like art history, or I was very sporty. I didn't identify with like I don't know. I think I felt very intimidated about this medium, and that's why I never thought I could do it. But I don't know. Art is like playful. Like it's just you telling your story, or it's telling someone else's story. Like you can do as much of this stuff as you want, or as little as this as you want. I don't think I want people to listen to this and think I need to do eye trace. Like you can do what you want.
Right.
Like
It's what inspires you though. Like
yeah,
and you
like,
grow, like you said, like it's very important to keep learning.
Yeah.
What kind of courses do you, or how do you learn? How do you like to digest and get inspired?
Yeah. I feel like I'm a very curious person, and I think I'll learn for the rest of my life. But it's funny, we were talking about this earlier before the podcast, that like I feel like as a kid, like you said, what was my interest as a kid? I had so many interests, and it almost was like overwhelming because I had no idea what I would do one day, and I almost like shamed myself because I thought, I have so many interests, I'm never going anywhere. Like, how am I going to consolidate all of this information into like one career path? It didn't really seem feasible.
You need to niche down. Like it's almost like
yes,
that feeling of like, oh well, I love so many things. Like I need to pick one and be really good at it.
Yeah, exactly. And like I was like obsessed with reading as a kid. I still love reading, but I was like, how am I even gonna find a book genre that I like? Because I like so many different genres. Like it was just overwhelming. I think now as an adult, I'm like, learning is always good. Education is good. It doesn't matter if it's even about filmmaking. Like it's going to feed into that. My background and interest in like science and business, that feeds into me as a filmmaker because I still get to tell stories around science, and that's what I want to be telling, or like the future of where technology is going. And I think that like, yeah, learning is, you could learn about film, you could not learn about film. It's still going to feed into your perspective as an artist and a filmmaker.
Yeah, learning isn't wasted. You know, even if you didn't go to film school, like whatever you did study, I think it makes you more well-rounded, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, it makes you so that you're not just focused on, oh, like I'm a filmmaker, I'm studying how to make a film. It's more so like you're studying your passions, and then it blends. Like
totally.
Because, you know, films are about something. You need to not know just how to make a film. You need to have like experience and passion for the topic as well.
Yeah, like Bill Gates actually has a website called Gates Notes, and it's like his notes on books that he reads, because he reads like a bunch of books all the time, and I think that's just really cool. That shows even someone who's got a specific career, like he's reading all the time, and the books that he reads are not related to what he's doing. Like they're so random. It's just things that he finds interesting. I think that's a good example of someone like you can be successful and learn about things that aren't related to your topic, like your field of study.
Totally.
But also like I put aside some money every year to take specific classes. Like I took a writing class last year. I'll take a directing class at least once a year. I've taken improv classes.
Like at a college, or how do you?
It depends. So the directing class that I took most recently was he was like a former AFI professor that's retired, and he just teaches like online classes, and he'll have groups of like 5 people, and you just talk for like a couple weeks.
Nice. I like that. Little learning fund.
I definitely have that. I mean, that's what paid for like me to get my scuba license, and I have my drone license. Like part of that is me like setting aside time to learn about something I'm interested in.
God bless you. That's amazing. I feel like that's really good advice.
Because you don't have to go you can go to film school, and I still think about going to film school, but like you can also just set aside like $500 a year. I mean, it's like $500 is a lot, but you could spend less than that. You could just set aside time every year to have time where you go on YouTube and learn things. Like that's just something that I've felt like really helped me in investing. Rather than spending $50,000 a year in film school, I'm spending $500 once a year every year to like invest in my education. So
I love that. Tell me we were discussing AI a bit before we started recording.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on AI? How do you use it as a filmmaker? Thoughts?
AI is wonderful. I'm excited for AI. Wait, is the question specifically to filmmaking?
No,
or
I just like in general. In general, like how, because you're a techie, like what are your thoughts on it, and how do you use it in your life?
I feel like everyone should be using AI. It's in some way in their life, especially as a filmmaker. There's so many or an editor. There's so many filmmaking tools out there that make your editing flow way faster. It's not going to make me, at least I don't really see AI as like changing your creative perspective. It's just going to let you do things that you don't have time to do or that are boring. So like
The busy work.
Yeah, exactly. And like I think that's honestly true about even how filmmaking technologies evolved for filmmaking. You used to have to know so much more technical stuff just to get involved in filmmaking at all. And now like the barrier to entry is a lot lower. And I think AI is just going to keep having that happen, where people can just focus on the creative side rather than having to have this technology, like this tech understanding, which a lot of creatives don't want to learn about that because they're interested in the creative side. And I think that's good. Like we're going to have more people that make it accessible. So yeah.
What are like some of the favorite things that you've been able to do because of it?
I mean, just on a practicality note, like having the auto transcription, that's great in Premiere. Mm-hmm. That's a game changer.
That is huge.
Oh my gosh, it's so great. Everyone should be auto transcribing their stuff. Even if it's not like perfect, it's going to give you an initial transcription. And that's really how I edit things, is through like a paper edit first.
Me too.
Or if you need to get it translated, if it's in a different language, it's just going to be way faster. I think also just even like there's a lot of workspace tools that you can use AI now for, like you can have automatic like things that you send your emails out. Like you can have little, it will send like blurbs back to people faster. So you can think about making it specific to you, but the email will just automatically be sent back. Yeah, AI is cool. But I think on a like big level, I'm excited to see how it changes. Like, I don't know. We need help on an existential level to help like our environment and to help, you know, just to help us survive as a species. So I'm excited about the possibility of AI like speeding up people's research as far as like environmental stuff goes. So
we were discussing with Matt's uncle, like just it's kind of like a calculator for life in a sense of if you don't know where to start, like let's say you have to do research, like you've never learned about blue holes, and you can just say, have it give
quickly.
give me like the top information about blue holes. I bet you that would help your team. You know?
I think especially it's helpful on topics that you don't know about too, like you're saying blue holes if you don't know anything about it, or if you, let's say you don't know, you're getting into filmmaking and you're like, give me a basic shot list. Like if you're a filmmaker that has like your own, I don't know, you've done this for a while, you'll be like, this is not necessarily helpful because I already know how I would make a shot list. But if you're someone that's just getting into filmmaking, that could be a great teaching tool. That's totally true. Or if it's like a new topic, like for docs, we're learning about new topics all the time. So just being like, get me the TLDR on like this topic,
right,
in a really easy way. And then you can start like having your creative juices flow because you have at least a basic understanding of it.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
But yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like I'm excited to see, it's almost like the internet is starting again. I'm sure people didn't even know what it was going to become. But now like AI is really going to open a whole new possibility for people. It feels like the sky's the limit. Yeah, it's exciting.
What kind of advice do you have for people interested in getting into directing like branded films, branded content?
That's hard. I don't know why that's hard. Like, yeah, there's so many, I guess it's just like, there's so many paths. There's no right way to get into it. And I almost felt overwhelmed by like the possibilities. You can go into it so many different ways. I think in the same way that I approach filmmaking, it should be the same way that you approach like getting into filmmaking. Like sit down with yourself and figure out what your priorities are, what your needs are. Consider like what's your financial situation, why are you doing filmmaking, what do you really want out of this? You don't have to know anything about filmmaking, but just sitting with yourself and your own priorities, because there's a million different ways to get into filmmaking, and sometimes it helps to have your priorities really like figured out before you enter into a new phase of life, because then it will help guide your decisions. So if you get in, like, let's say you get 2 opportunities, you can easily decide which one is right for you because you already are resolved in like, what do I value here? What is the thing? Why am I doing this? Like, am I doing this because I want to tell stories about communities? Am I doing this because I want people to see a perspective that I have that I feel like isn't being represented? Like really being resolved in that will help you make those future decisions, because you're not necessarily like, maybe you won't get exactly the perfect opportunity right away, but if you get a couple, you'll know like what is the right decision for me, you know?
Well, and I think, I don't know, I talk to a lot of people, and even me too, sometimes it can be kind of like, oh, like, what am I doing? Or
I
like,
know.
you know, you can
so
kind of,
true.
you can kind of be like meta about it, or like there's certain days where I'm like, I feel so zoned in. Like, I'm like, I love documentary filmmaking. Like,
it's
this
such
is
a
what
roller
I want to
coaster.
do. And then like, there are some days where I'm literally like, what kind of stories like do I want to tell? And it's actually kind of
Yeah.
it's interesting, and I feel
like
I'm on this.
filmmaking.
Yeah, I'm on
Yeah,
this. I'm
it's
on
like-
this constant journey of like, what stories should I be telling? What stories do I want to tell? Which stories can I tell?
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting topic within the doc space too, of like, who is the storyteller, right? Because it
Yeah.
totally matters who's behind the camera.
It does.
And so,
Yeah.
and it all goes back to like your passions, right? And it's, I think for a lot of people that maybe are like, I love filmmaking, but like they're kind of unsure of what their passions are. So they kind of try everything. And I think that's a good
Yeah.
approach at first, like definitely like try everything in a sense, but also like,
It will become clear too. Like you'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm so bored. Then don't
Right.
keep doing that.
Right.
Do something that excites you.
right.
Yeah,
The
that's
thing
true.
that excites you. And I think also going back to your roots, like helps a lot. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, like I'm going back to my roots. I'm like, okay, like what did I like doing as a kid? Like
Yeah.
I always loved watching the Food Network. Like, you know, like
Yeah,
just like
that's so
things like
true.
that. Or,
Like-
like you were talking about like always being out in the ocean. So it's like, okay, like what like did you love as a kid?
Yeah.
That like you can bring out that inner child in you and like
I
that
love
inner
that.
like creativity, and maybe that could help guide like the types of stories that you tell, because it can be so overwhelming
It can
sometimes
be
to like,
overwhelming.
should I do this, should I do that?
We
Or
have like too many choices.
Yeah.
I think also though there are some people that as adults like maybe never got the chance to explore what felt right for them. Like I do feel like I'm the same way personally, where I go back to like what did I gravitate towards as a kid, because I felt like I had that freedom to really explore my interests as a child. But some people didn't have the opportunity
Yeah.
to, and I think about for those people that are listening, like if you didn't have the opportunity as a kid to like explore what was interesting to you, like think about maybe just start now. Like give yourself some space every weekend to like just let your mind, I don't know, wander, like think about what sounds fun.
or just try new
what sounds-
things.
yeah, like try new
like
things.
what sounds kind of fun, or
And it's like a skill that you have to hone for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Like just if something feels interesting, keep going in that direction. And if it's like really boring, I mean, there's always boring parts of our job we have to do, but if it's like the story and you're bored by it, like don't tell that story. There's so many other stories out there that could excite you, you know? So yeah.
I like that. Anything else you want to add? Any recent documentaries that you've been loving?
Ooh, I just rewatched Boys State. I love that doc.
I actually haven't seen that yet, and
Oh
I know
my
it is on my
gosh.
list. It
It's
is on my
so
list.
good.
Yeah.
I love all those kids too. Like I feel like they did a good job of humanizing all of them. Like they're just kids that they're doing in the documentary, and it's so good. It's a great story. Yeah, I love Boys State. I guess the last thing to add would just be that you got this. Like whoever is listening, like you got this. You're listening to podcasts about documentary filmmaking. You're already
learning.
like you're learning. Yeah, you're doing great. And I think this journey is like there's no set path going into filmmaking, and part of that is liberating, and part of it is terrifying. And we're all going to go through periods of like lots of confidence because you feel like you're on there, and then again you feel like you're just back to square one. And it's part of the journey. So like, I don't know.
Buckle up.
You got this. Buckle up. Like it's gonna be fun.
Amazing.
You got time. Life's long.
Lifelong.
So.
Lifelong. Cool.
Yeah.
That's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you so much for listening and or watching. I hope you found this useful. If you did, give us a rating. This will really help us grow our audience and better serve you. Also, if you love talking docs, join our weekly Discord Wednesdays at 5 p.m. PST, where we discuss a doc of the week and check in with each other. Talk soon.